Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Borderless Minds podcast. This is your favorite podcasters, Jado, and this is my guy, Christian.
You already favorite. It's the first.
uh,
Wait, second.
while we're on that, please go ahead and subscribe, like, watch our videos, give us some feedback. We have received some very positive and very encouraging feedback. So please go ahead and follow us on our social media platforms as well. We are on TikTok and Instagram at the BM Pod, THEBMPOD at the BM Pod.
Wait, is that
Instagram
right? TH. Go ahead again. Okay.
THEBMPOD. A man with 4 degrees and still can't spell. I apologize. That's off topic. Thank you again for staying with us and for your support, for watching us. We try to with this podcast. We try to take you guys through our journeys and elaborate more on life of an international student, what they go through, some of the complications or intricacies that come with being on an F1 visa here in the US. And we're hoping to get some guests as well, as we mentioned on a previous episode, that can take us through their journeys.
Layers. Mhm.
But right now, we're trying to lay a foundation of what we are, how we will build this whole journey or this whole podcast from where we started from to where we are,
Yeah.
and then to potentially where we can go in the future as well. Like what some of the advices somebody can offer who's already somewhere where we're not. Would you like to add anything?
No, I mean, yeah, you just covered it. It's a blueprint as we are laying this foundation where how we got here, what we studied, and what we currently do. What are the struggles we went through? What are the lessons we learned? That's just gonna be the same blueprint we ask all the guests. So that's just gonna be before we even dive deeper into those topics like the CPT and the OPT that we talked about and the green cards that are gonna be some of the big topics that are gonna be covered within this podcast. So before we get to that, we want to lay that foundation of why we even came here, how we got here, why did we choose this country. I believe that's one of the topics that we're
Yes.
going to be discussing. But I think the first thing that you mentioned, which I want to highlight, is just to thank you all for reaching out and the support and the feedback. Like the mic, man, we got the mics. You forgot to mention that. That was
We
one of the
big
things
time. We
that
big time.
excited us.
And
The
those
mics.
those who follow us on social media got the first pick of seeing. They got to see where
How
we
we
got
started. How
how
we
we started.
started from the bottom. I mean, we're not there yet, but we started really from the bottom. We did just a few investments because, well, we still got a lot
We,
of debts that we're trying to pay off at the same time. So, but really appreciated that feedback because we went in and invested on this mic because this is how much we are really invested in this podcast because we're trying to bring that information and it really does matter to us. So thank you for that feedback. I know they also commented on the video, but we're not there yet. We just started with the mic. Hopefully, the next thing is gonna be the video, so you can get a better highlight as Jado's hairline that he sees every month. So yeah, so the camera, hold on, but
Lord have
we will
mercy.
start with the mic first, and then yeah, we here. But really, thank you. It's something that why you still laughing?
Hey, that was personal, man.
They'll
Anyway,
get that. They'll get to see it. They'll have a first row to the show because I'm
anyway,
here for that. But thank you, and really hope you get to enjoy this because we are invested. You still laughing?
anyway, please go ahead and follow us on social media, Instagram and TikTok. We want to be able to engage with you guys in terms of we may have some Q&As in the future coming up regarding like what do you wish you knew, or what were some of the first thing you tried when you got to the US, some of those things. So
Yes.
please stay tuned. We have some more things planned out for you guys. But you mentioned earlier that we want to, like, for today's episode, we want to talk about why did we choose the US. Let me go ahead and ask you, like, did you consider any other place? Did you consider staying back home, or was the US always, like, I know you touched it a little bit last episode of what made you come to the US, but go ahead and remind our listeners, like, if you considered any place
Me?
else or
Nah,
not?
I did not. I never did. For me, like I mentioned in the last episode, basketball was a pretty big part of my life for a long time. So like I said, I really wanted to play in the NBA. It's not something that I woke up and I wanted to do. I know. We'll talk better, more again as we get deeper when I got here. But basketball was a pretty huge part of my life when I was in high school. I started playing in 2007 when I touched the ball when we got to IFAC. It was that Wednesday afternoon. You remember it's the first week of school. It's a Wednesday afternoon when we
Damn.
have like no classes. It's just how do we call it? PE day? What is it? I don't remember, but it was just
Sport obligatoire. That's what I
sport
remember.
obligatoire. What does that mean in
I
English?
would like to emphasize that we're not cussing. It's IFAK. So he said IFAK. So
IFAC.
it's
Oh my God,
IFAK.
I
So
forgot
for
about that.
those,
Yeah, go ahead.
it's a French word. Institut de Formation Apostolique de Kimihuru.
You remember
Man, listen.
the okay
But
biology?
but yes,
IFAC.
yeah,
All
we're not
right.
trying to cuss.
I'm
It's
not cussing.
IFAK. It's
I
an
never even
abbreviation.
realized that. How did you even catch that?
I was always aware.
Oh, so it's not the first
It's
time you
not the
ever
first
said.
time. Yeah.
But okay, I'll stay.
Yes.
I stand corrected. Thank
So
you.
we're trying to be PG
We'll keep it
everyone.
PG-18,
But yes, so you said you
PG-13.
wanted to go to play basketball. Like basketball was a huge thing
Yeah,
since
pretty
'07.
big time. Yes, in my. But it's not that time that I touched the ball that Wednesday. It was like something that I think the feeling I got is still the same feeling that I'm trying to pursue in everything that I
Mm,
do currently, because it was an excitement. It was something I was made. Yo, every violation in basketball that existed, I think I was committing that in every single time we were playing. Like I had no idea, but it felt good to just be out there and just being able to play. And then I started really getting invested in the sport. I started really enjoying. I started doing more and more, and I would even like during vacation, I would just go play every single day,
yeah,
to
the
a point
holidays.
where
Yeah,
yeah,
like the summer breaks.
yes, the summer
Summer
breaks. I,
we did
I didn't know
trimesters, not
anything.
semesters. We did trimesters. So
Trimesters,
our
yeah.
longest break was in December.
We had, I don't remember, man.
Yeah, I'm
That's a
blanking
long
as well.
time ago. Do you know that's 2007?
But it was always the same till like at least for me till 2012.
It was always what?
The same like
Length of some
length of a
trimester.
trimester.
Yeah. But I'm not remembering
I
like
think
the
we did
exact
January to
time.
April, and then we did like 2 weeks break. The We came back like late April
Mhm.
to July, late July, and
You have
then
a pretty good memory, man. I don't
it's.
remember any of
I think we
that.
took a. I think the year ended sometime in October.
In October.
Yes,
I don't
and then we
remember.
had like the 2 months break for Christmas and all that, and then we came back in January. Yes, if I'm.
Oh, that's when they
Yeah.
start, because there was a time where we started in September as well. But that's to the beginning. We
Yes.
use, yes. Then they changed it. But yeah, so basketball, that was the main thing for me. It's not until 2009 when I got into in 2009, yes, grade nine,
Ninth grade. Yes.
ninth grade. That's when I was like, this is it, because I started loving it. I started being more and more invested, and then in 2010, I was selected for the under 18 national team, and that's when it became like, hey, I can do this thing full time. So I was at that time, for me, that's when I was like, I'm going to America. I want to play in the NBA. I want to play college, because that was the path everybody would go through: college, division, whatever one,
Hmm.
and then you go to NBA, because that's
Yeah.
the path that I would see on TV. So to me, it was always yes. But now we have players that just come out from anywhere. So I didn't know that before.
Yeah.
So to me
Usually
in America,
size plays a lot,
yes,
especially if you didn't play here and you're just coming from overseas. You got to
from
be big.
overseas,
But
yes. But to me, that was it. But yeah, but that's the only thing. I think everybody understands that now. But yeah, no,
it was
nothing
still a
else.
dream.
Yeah, that was still a dream. But yeah, we'll get more into that. But what about you? How did you decide about
I
coming
mean,
here?
I was. It was a possibility for me to go to school back home. Everything was just open, but I already had a brother here who was already in the U.S. So it was much more likely that I was
Good.
going to be here in the U.S. as well. So
Hmm.
and then we started looking into like how okay, what schools can I go to?
Where did he go in? Like
He went to school in rural Mississippi. That's a whole
no,
different
no, no,
story.
no. Like what point in time when you were in high school? Like when did he go to
So
US?
like, so he came to the U.S. when I was in 11th grade.
11th grade, and
11th
that's when
grade.
you're like, okay, I'm
So
gonna
that's
go
what
to.
I mean. It was expensive. So like, I was like, it may or may not
It
happen.
may or may not
We talked the
happen.
last episode about like the cost of attending college here. So
Hmm.
like having two kids going to school here is like a whole different thing. So
Right.
then 12th grade, like last my senior high school, it was a possibility. That's when I started like taking the SATs.
Oh yes.
Because like, okay, we started looking to schools, and I was looking at the prices of like, God, Lee. So like, you're looking at all the good schools that sound good, like the
Yes.
Stanfords, the
You
Brown
mentioned,
universities.
yeah, you
The
mentioned Harvard last time for
that was
medical school.
that was for medical school, but that's a neither here or there.
Right.
And then okay, it was like, oh, cost of attendance and all that. I was like, okay. And then you're like, okay, if you get a good SAT score, then you're more likely to get a scholarship.
Right.
And then I did it twice. I did the first time. I didn't do as good because I was shooting for like a 1900, which was like impossible. I never got close.
You did ACT 3 times?
Twice.
Twice. Okay, so the first
The
one,
first
first time, how?
the first time I think I was in. Now for both times I was still like in my last year in high school. But
Okay.
the first
Oh,
year I
you did it
think,
before finishing.
yeah.
Man, okay.
I mean, you guys had already done it. Like all the kids. Oh, he went to. For those who are in Rwanda, he went to Green Hills Academy. So like, he was one of them kids. Like he probably like did a lot more like AP classes type thing, which was a whole different. You guys had like a whole different calendar school year,
Yeah,
like
so
with
we had
semesters
different
versus.
programs there that were available. There was the national one if you wanted to just continue with the same program as other schools, and there was the IB, which will go up to grade 12, and there was the Cambridge, which will only go to grade 10.
So
So
like, if you wanted, you could have had a chance to go to England then, like with the Cambridge
yeah,
system.
yes, grade 10. If you were to finish Cambridge, I know a guy who went to directly to UK after finishing that grade 10, doing the IGCSE exam. I
Wow.
believe that's what they called it. Yeah, so it was a Cambridge program. Yeah, Green Hills had a lot to offer, but not to mention that it also had a lot of stress that it would add because it was a lot of studying, a lot of books, a lot to keep up with. But we had good teachers, and those programs would also have a way to guide you if you wanted to study in the US, like the SAT. For us, we had practice for SAT. We
Wow.
had a class for it. So we had American teachers for that program, and they knew pretty well how the American program was. So they started really educating us on SATs, on school applications
Wow. So
beforehand,
like, you had some sort of like guidance from your
guidance
school.
through all.
Because I was gonna
Yes.
ask you like how they, because it sounds like more similar like U.S. system here. Like if you're in high school, you start seeing, I don't know if they call them counselors, where they can guide you through like when to apply, what schools you should consider applying to because of your grades and all that. So you
Yeah.
guys had that.
We
So
had a counselor, a guidance counselor. Uh, I never really used. It was a she. I don't think I went to her that much. But once you got into grade 12 or grade 11, they started really being more specific about schools. Like if you want to study in America, because most of the kids there wanted to. So if you wanted to study abroad, they were like applications start really early and they had deadlines,
oh, you knew
and
what
that's
the
something.
deadlines were?
Yeah, they would no. They started
Man,
emphasizing on that. They would
wow.
say, "Hey, you gotta look into those schools that you want to go to because the deadlines were different. You know, the system back home is different than the system here. Like everything here is a deadline. You have to go through this. Like it's a step by step thing that you have to go. But if you back home, if there is a school you want to go to, the easiest thing is go knock on the door and say, "Hey, I want to register my kid here."
Hmm.
That's why it was so difficult for us to understand. But the teachers at that time were like, and the principal as
Hmm.
well. She was also emphasizing if you want to go study abroad, you have to look into the deadlines. You have to start applying. You have to do the SAT. They started telling us
Essays,
about yeah, and essays as well. You have to start, and also getting recommendations from teachers. They
man.
started telling us that, and we're it was a good school.
It's
So
quite a contrast compared to like uh where I went to school, because I went to the same school, but you changed schools
yeah,
after like ninth grade. I stayed in the same school for the whole 6 years, but
yeah,
it's quite a contrast when you compare like
the
school systems
information.
like trimester versus semester.
Yeah.
um, also access to that kind of information. Like, okay, recommendation letters, which I didn't know like how to do. Like, and then that's a whole different thing because because I was thinking like also like, and here we're talking about like application process
Yeah,
from high school back home in Rwanda to the US.
college. Yes,
And so we, I know most schools here require like official transcripts.
right.
What that means basically is they want transcripts that are sent from your school directly
Directly
to
to
them,
them. Yes,
not something that your school handed to you and then you ship
yes,
it to the US.
yeah.
I don't know. I'm hopefully I'm not putting myself in any messed up way, but I never sent my official transcripts.
Oh, really?
'Cause I'm like, we didn't have that. Like,
So
you
what'd you
would.
do? Like, what was
I
the
took him
pre?
myself when I went to my
Oh,
college.
you brought to. So how did you get accepted if you
I sent them
didn't?
my transcripts, and they were like, "Okay, we need
Oh, an
official."
official transcript. Oh,
Yes,
because you can send that as well,
yes. Unofficial means like, hey, anybody can send those transcripts, but they
not
considered
specifically from the school.
yes, but they have to like that way they're not tampered with. That way they know
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
official.
Yeah.
So like that's one of the things like SATs and ACTs. Then like I didn't start
TOEFL.
knowing about those until like later, like in my last year. I'm like, okay, let me do a test and let's see how it goes. I think I had one book I practiced. I was like, man, all I can say is like he made me hit the English language first time, legit.
Yeah,
Like
that
it was
exam is
just
long.
no, I think it was like 2 hours.
Don't you have different?
It was four sections, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was like writing, which I had no. That's why, like I think last episode I touched on it. Like if I could get an A in
in
English, something
English.
that I had never done before,
Yeah.
everything else was possible. So like when you do SAT, the writing section where like they give you a topic and you have to like
Oh yeah, there
structure the
was
whole thing like
that.
introduction, body,
Hmm.
and conclusion, and
Yes.
then I think you had like 50 minutes, I believe, or like 30
Yeah.
minutes to write down everything,
You really have a
organize it.
good memory, man. I feel like for me it was like a trauma, so
That's why I
that my
remember it.
it was
That's why I
yeah.
remember it.
That's why you remember. No, mine. I think I suppressed it because it felt long, and
Yeah,
it's not just the writing; it was also the reading and answering questions. And for
yeah.
us,
That one, the reading skills that got me because like they give you the like I would say sections of like excerpts of different right.
yeah. Yeah, so you would read the question is exactly the first paragraph, and then you go on the second. The questions were
Yeah, I don't know.
chronologically.
I was just waiting for the math section. That's all I was doing. I was waiting for the math section and the writing, the English verbal. No, not the verbal. Where you got to like, because we took English classes, by the way, like from first grade all the way to 12th grade.
Yeah,
We always had like an English class.
in the
Because
fact.
no, since elementary school, like first
Oh
grade,
yeah, 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 yeah. It's like a part of like a
because
math. It's like math as well. It's like
it's
French.
yeah, it's considered like let's say somebody here taking like a Spanish class, but
Yeah,
I took English classes and French classes pretty much
your whole
my
life.
entire life.
Yeah,
So like in addition to other classes that we were taking,
but it wasn't like speaking. It was more like conjugaison. How do you say that in English?
tenses.
Tenses. Yeah, it was pretty much this is it. Even the teacher wouldn't speak English the entire time. He was depending on where you went to. Because where I went,
That's a whole
international,
different.
if we're going back, for me, it wasn't always that. It was, he comes, sometimes he might even say, talking in Kinyarwanda, and then once we start like reading whatever's on the board, then we speak English. So he wasn't really consistent with, it's like, yeah, I don't want to say anything bad, but yes, it's
Good.
just that. Good. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like so going back, like did you say did anybody help you with the process of application, or did you just mostly do everything by yourself? And uh,
No, I mean, yeah. So we started with the school, but eventually I had somebody. Once again, I'm not trying to sponsor anybody because, but at the time there
mhm.
was a guy that was helping people come here. So a
Oh,
guy,
I
yeah,
see.
and I had my friend also who came here early when we were in grade 11. He got here early, so he connected me with the guy.
Okay.
And then through the guy, I went. That's how I got the number, and then that's when my mom realized I was really serious. She thought I was joking with
Mm.
coming here. She wasn't really like convinced. She thought I was just saying all that to
You want to
say,
play basketball?
yeah. But then when I got the number and I was like, hey, this is the person that is gonna help me, my mom was like, what? Like,
So
yeah,
did the
you're
guy like?
serious?
Sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but did the guy like give you a list of the schools, or like did you give
No,
him?
he already was connected with a few schools, and
Okay,
that's the ones we used. And
gotcha.
yeah, but I also at the same time I was applying for myself
So
through
which
Common App. Was it
okay
Common App?
common application? Yeah,
Common
where you could.
application. Yeah, so I did that on my own, but at the same time we also used the guy
So which schools did you end
eventually.
up going to? Like the ones you applied to, or the ones you
The one
got
he
from the guy?
applied to, the one he helped me
Also,
through
he.
because he had connections. So once you hear, it's easy to apply because you can stay in contact with the school. Because I was able to apply for my little brother once I got here because I'm the
Uh,
one who got him his college acceptance. And then once I
really
applied for him, I was always asking like, hey, what do you want to do? Like, send me this
major.
information.
Okay.
Like, yeah, yeah. So yeah, as you're going through the entire application, yeah, he already knew what major he wanted. But like, oh, hey, go get this, go get the transcripts, go get this paperwork, like the documents that were needed. I would always tell him like this is needed because I knew the system. Once I got here, I think that's the main thing. Once you know how the system works here, it's easy. So I applied for him compared to before I get to me. I applied for him. He got me the documents. I even paid because at that time I had a credit card. Oh, that's one of the documents I forgot. Yeah, last time when I say we're gonna talk about ID, how to get your ID. Also, we're gonna talk about your social security. We're gonna talk about debit card and credit card. Those are
Yeah,
also some of the important
debit card.
subjects.
Yeah, as long as
Debit
you have a
and credit
yeah,
card, as long as
debit
you have
card,
a
as long as you have
bank.
a bank. Yeah.
Yes, that's also another thing that you need to open up once you get here because that's how
Hmm.
they send you money. So we'll get through that. But yeah, so I had a debit card at the time, so I was able to pay, which is something at the time when I applied, my mom didn't have,
Hmm.
and so we had to find somebody. But
Oh, I see.
I applied for my brother, and then once I applied, the next day I called the school. I was like, "Did you get the application for my brother?" Like I was able to call the school, like the student
Ah,
admission. Like, did you get this application? Is there anything missing that I need to start looking for? And they're like, no,
wow,
everything is here. So we'll go through it and we'll let you know. Like it was that easy. But for
a
me,
good brother.
because like, yo, as you're going through that application, first of all, it's long. And it was the first time that I'm using a computer for applications like that. We normally just go to write essays. That's the one that we were doing. But
You
doing
talking
an
about? Is this
application,
about your brother or you?
no, for me.
Okay.
So it was the first time that I was going through the applications,
Uh huh.
and it was long, man. I don't know, man. It was too long. It was
Common app.
yeah,
I'm
it was
just
through
going
Common
back.
App.
Okay. Are you
Yeah,
talking
through
about common
Common
app or
App,
just okay?
I did that, and then I applied to like five schools at the same time. And I remember my mom had to pay $90. But for the guy, like I mentioned, we had to go get a credit card from somebody. So my mom gave him $100 for him to pay $90.
I see.
Yeah.
So was the guy located here in the U.S. or was he
No,
back
no, no.
home?
He was back home, but he had been in America. You know how you have
Hmm.
like your credit card, just using your credit card because you still have a bank here.
Ah,
So my mom gave him $100 cash, and then he paid. He used his credit card to pay $90, through that, and
wow.
that's what you didn't use Common App.
No, no.
What'd
Because
you use?
I think I only applied to two schools.
Two schools.
I got accepted at both.
Nice.
And no shade to my school, but like it was just much easier to get into. So there was not much requirement. Like the more prestige school you apply to, there's more things you have to like jump through,
True.
more requirements, and much more like button up. For mine, um, I'm trying to remember. All I did, actually, like I did my application myself,
Yeah.
but my brother paid for my application fee.
Oh,
That's one
okay. He
thing.
was
Also,
here.
you have to know an application fee. You mentioned $90 for
Yeah.
five schools,
Five
which is
schools
actually not bad. I think mine was like $75 for just that one school.
for one school. Yeah.
Yeah, and um, I was go. You touched on something that I want to go back to in terms of like you helped your brother and all that.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you. Like, do other people reach out to you like, "Hey, can you find me a school?" Because that's a whole other like topic. Like, can you find me a school? Because for me, I find it hard to help somebody
Why?
applying
In terms
to a
of
whole new school because I have to
oh.
know so much
Oh, so you have
information
to do
about.
your own research before even helping
Because
them.
no, because I have to know how much money are you willing to pay. How
Oh,
much?
so you're
Like, what
going
do you want
into
to
their
study?
business.
It's I don't care going into their business, but like
Yeah.
that's I have to go back and forth. It's like it feels like a full time gig to me.
Oh,
If I knew a
okay.
school, like, hey, if they wanted to go to a school that I went to
They're
that
going
I
to
know,
easy.
it would be easy. Hey, this is where you apply. This
Yeah.
is the application process.
Yeah.
But like somebody could reach out, like, hey, could you find me a school? Which I don't mind.
Yeah.
But then again, I have to ask what how much are you willing to spend
On
on this school, like
this, yeah. So
tuition.
it's gonna be a lot of
And
back
then they
and
may
forth.
ask, and then in scholarships they may ask you to write essays
Yeah,
for them.
essays. Yeah.
So
No,
like you've
for my
never,
brother, I mean, for me, it was just because well, he was family. And
but anybody else ever ask you like to
to help them with the
help them, like
school.
a any family member back home, like, hey, find me a school in the U.S. I'm trying to come to the U.S.
Yeah, man, that's a. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't
I,
think I ever applied for anybody else
I
except my
apologize if
brother.
I ever say no to you, but that's how it is.
It's a process. It's a dedication. It's quite some time because you have to get really invested. You have to follow up. But once you, it's just I don't know, man. I don't remember if anybody ever asked me. But you touched on the like the, it was easy to get in your schools.
Actually,
But
I was
before it wasn't like when you're back home, you want the big schools. But if you're trying to get here, find those small schools. Because even for my
yes,
brother, we started with the community college and then he transferred to Arkansas. But we
yes.
started with the community college, and I think that's something that when you're in Rwanda, you thinking about those big names, Duke, because I
I
applied to
don't even think
Kentucky.
many people know about junior college, JUCO, like, or like community
Community
colleges. Some,
colleges
because even for Americans here in the U.S., like it's always advised for them to go to like community college, or
first.
that way they can. It's much cheaper. It's always cheaper, and
Yes,
then those credits will usually
be
most of them will
transferred.
be accepted
Mhm.
to a whole new school, which means you don't have to spend as much money or be in
Yeah,
as much debt.
community college is cheaper and it's also easier to prove that you can afford tuition. But the only thing that I don't know that it will be does embassy allow all the schools when you go through because there is the application process for the school and then
Mm,
the next thing is embassy application
yes.
because you might have a school but the embassy might still reject you for
Oh
the
yeah.
visa. So once you got accepted, what was the next step?
Because you get accepted, they send you a packet of
Yes,
acceptance
I
that
20.
that includes I-20. I-20 is like a document that basically gives you the school information, has like a code that's specific for
For
you,
that
like
school.
your, I believe
Yeah,
it's like your
it's like
alien number.
acceptance.
Alien number. That's where you'll have like the N dash number, the alien number. If you're doing like immigration stuff, you would know.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, so that's the number you also use when you're applying for a
Visa.
visa interview. And then once you get the I-20, has how much money you will be paying for that school for that first
Yes.
year and everything that's required.
Yeah.
And you have to take that I-20, that document, to the
And the
embassy.
acceptance letter.
And that,
I
oh yeah.
took both. So you get the in that packet, you
Hmm.
get the acceptance letter, you get the I-20, and you get everything about the school, what it is, and
Yes,
also
there we
the
go.
what.
There we
Yeah,
go.
because it's
Yes.
also it's gonna say, hey, this school has been here for this long. This is how many graduates we get every year. Like this, like yeah, just pretty much about the school. Acceptance letter, I-20. I think how
And
do you
then school information.
school information. And yeah, so within the acceptance letter, it says how much you're gonna pay, and it also has
It's on an
another
I-20, yeah.
list. Yeah, yes, yes, I-20 also it's also there. So once you got that, what was your what else did you do? Because once you got accepted to two schools, did you get those pamphlet at the same time? Both of the ones? How did you choose which school you
Money.
were good? Oh, so one was more expensive
Yeah,
compared.
like
Oh
one
yeah,
was
you
like
say that. You did
almost
mention
ten
that.
thousand a semester for
Yeah,
one, South Dakota, and then I went to Oklahoma, northwestern Oklahoma State.
cheaper.
Shout out to Rangers, man, because
Oh,
even for like in-state students, it was one of the cheapest schools to go to. So
oh
you just
okay.
had to be willing to sacrifice the
Social life.
prestigious prestige. No, no, the people there like had fun in their own way, but like you sacrifice this prestigious college. But I think I remember like statistic. I could be wrong, but I think like 70% of students there finished school with little to no debt. Students, so
Oh
it was so cheap
yeah.
that like you could get a degree without like having to
Without
like
having to get
dig
college.
yourself into a
Yeah,
hole
yeah.
financially.
And
So
that's a big
yes,
thing when you graduate here because you start on the like in the minors.
yes,
So you
yeah,
start building a life in the minors, but that's for Americans.
okay.
You mentioned that you didn't you paid out of pocket and you can get.
Actually, I was supposed to come because I came started school fall of 2014,
Mm-hmm.
but I was supposed to start spring of 2014. But guess what happened? So I applied, and my brother, since he was already here, like just like you did for your little brother,
Yeah.
he paid for my application fee,
Yeah.
and he wrote a check to them. They received it, but for some reason there was like a clerical error,
Mm-hmm.
and they thought I had not paid for my application fee. So got
Oh,
accepted, but I just kept waiting for an acceptance. But they never told me anything. So I kept telling my brother, like, hey,
can
they
you
haven't
check?
reached out or anything.
Yeah.
And then he reached out. He was like, oh, he never paid for his application fee. And then he
Oh,
was like, I'm the one who paid it. I gave you a check. So
so there was a mismatch between the names,
no, like everything was good. They just like didn't like maybe put the
the check
check
with the
on with my application
application.
or whatever.
See,
But for some
credit
reason,
card or debit card, faster.
I mean, yeah, but I was so ticked because I was like,
So
man.
how long did you wait to get your
So I had to wait
acceptance?
a whole. So like then
Oh, so instead of
I got
starting
accepted
this,
in like
oh,
No, I actually got accepted maybe like in December ish
mhm.
to start in January the spring semester.
Yeah,
But I never got a like official
official
approval,
acceptance. Yeah,
acceptance, not approval, acceptance.
yeah.
So I just had to sit out another semester.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So how long? So you finished in
So
twenty
like okay, to
twelve?
paint a better picture,
Yeah,
because we do trimesters and the U.S. system does semesters. So in the U.S. the school year starts in September,
September,
but for us the school year started in January back home. So you finish high school sometime
December,
in
November,
no,
something.
yeah, October, November.
Yeah.
So you cannot start until the fall or September of the next year.
Yeah,
So we
because you're
do a
also
national
waiting
exam.
on national exams results.
But if it was a whole semester system, then we would
You
be able to
can
like be aligned up with,
right.
because like
I
for you,
see.
I know it was different.
No, yeah, because we were starting at the same time as the American
So you
system.
had like little time to wait, like maybe like three
So
months, and
I
then you were like,
graduated in May, and then boom, I started graduated in 2012 May, and then in August 2012 I was here.
so yeah, I
So
think
we
I
started
sat two
applying
years.
before. Huh?
I sat for 2 years.
You sat for 2 years because of a clerical error.
No, no,
Well,
no,
for, first of all,
no.
because of
The
the
first year,
system of the like
different.
Rwanda, the different system and the different
Yes,
timeline of when the
the
school
school
year
year
ends
starts.
and
Yeah,
start. Yeah, starts and ends. And then because of a clerical error, it added another year
it had another semester.
semester. Okay, okay, okay. Man, all
Yeah.
right,
So now I
but we
just
here,
remember
man.
that I
But
was like,
this is where
golly.
you realize that life just has its own plan.
Yeah,
But it feels like
you
somebody
roll with
is
the punches.
yeah, but do you
Yep.
remember how you felt like if with people that were starting already college and you felt did you feel like you were behind
Oh
because they
no,
had gone, you were
no.
okay?
I was like, hey, as long as I get to go to America, like that
That's
was a
all, so
dream.
you like that, that's
I
the
was like,
main
yeah,
thing
because like I think my parents almost enrolled me in college, like because they didn't want me
as you're
to.
waiting
They didn't want me to. I was like, why waste money if I'm gonna go to college regardless in the
eventually,
U.S.
but they wanted you to do something. They're like,
Yeah,
we're tired of you being here,
yeah,
you've been here for a whole year.
yeah. So I was like, man,
But that wait time, man, because I don't know how you did it because you're strong mentally. Like we just talked about how your brain works, like how your memory is good. But even that's being strong mentally because
nah,
when we
I didn't
graduated,
have time to think about it. I
you're like, I'm
just
going to America. But when we graduated from college and people were getting jobs and they didn't have a job, you know how down I was. Like I'm
uh,
waiting, but I'm not getting
I was
anything.
helping the folks, so like I was
Oh,
helping
okay.
parents.
You
So
had
like
something to
I had,
occupy
yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, we'll get deeper into some of the details with the job search, but yeah, going back to the application. So you got accepted in
20,
2014.
2014, probably February is when they sent me the actual like packet
Mm-hmm.
acceptance packet that has school information,
Yeah.
I-20 and acceptance letter.
Yes.
And then actually I applied for my visa interview. I think I got my visa like in June, I believe.
So you got
And I
a
started like in August. So I got like, because I had way too much time to
yeah.
prepare. So if you got admission in February, you have
Yes.
like all this time to like prepare.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to talk about like your side of the story, like when you got accepted and all that. Because after that, we're gonna go into like the visa application process, which
Yeah.
is like a whole thing.
Wow, you even mentioned the month you got accepted in. I'm trying to remember if I don't remember when I got accepted. But because we had started the application process like a year before, even not a year, but like
Damn.
yeah, we started pretty early, man. Shout out to Green Hills. I know it was stressful being there because of the IB program, but they were helpful in some sense. So they knew a lot about the system. The teachers were very helpful. I got a very good recommendation from the coach as well, which helped me get a. It didn't actually. Never
Hey,
mind. It never
Greenhouse,
got
do
me
your
anything.
thing. Induct this man in the Hall of Fame of basketball.
Nah.
Didn't you
Uh,
guys win a trophy? Just side note.
huh?
You guys won a trophy, right?
Two.
Okay. Anyway,
All
yes.
right, yeah, we're good, man. We're good. We're good. I really hope they're winning. I want to see that team now. But it was pretty good. It was a pretty good time in high
So,
school.
like, now, good question. In terms of where you went to school, it was almost similar to American system. Did some of your classes transfer as credits when you came to the US, or no? Did you ever
Yes,
do
because
any
I didn't do
IB?
any
Did you
pre-calc. I did not do
did you
any
do any
pre-calc.
IB
I
and
did
those?
IB.
You IB was some of those like advanced like classes where you
Oh
can.
yeah, the math was advanced because I did high level math. By the way, I also failed my diploma. I got a certificate. Yeah, I got a certificate in IB. I missed 1 point, so it was
Oh
really
man.
hard. Yeah, but the certificate was good enough. And because I had math high level, I never got to do any pre-calc here in college. So there were like two classes, two math classes that I
Oh
did not
wow.
have to take.
So like you had some credit hours
Yeah,
before
that
you.
counted. So because I was
Oh
a
wow, that's
general
amazing.
engineering and they wanted to start with me with the pre-calc, but then I showed that I did math high level. They were like, "Oh, okay, you can just go straight to calculus class." You
Sorry
okay,
guys.
man? Did I
Wow.
scare you with my
Yeah.
degree?
Yeah. No, I was worried because you failed.
Oh, I yes, I did. It was tough, man.
What did your
I'm
parents
not
say?
ashamed. Ooh, very good question.
Because I'm sure
The
you'd pay more money, right?
Pay more money for what?
To be part of
For
those like
IB?
IB.
Yes, yes. It was way more money than the other program that we had. But no, it was the first time. This is I've always somehow gotten away with everything that I ever did.
Is
So
that a good
like
thing
it
or
was
bad thing?
always like I've never no for real. This is a serious thing.
Okay.
I've never really got any disappointment in life like at that time. Like seriously, like some
Oh,
things that I would do somehow it would work out
okay.
in school, in sport. Somehow, it was the first time I ever tried something, and they knew that I tried my best, and somehow I failed. But to them, it was like, how is he gonna deal with this disappointment because it was the first time?
Oh damn.
So they were really understanding,
Hmm.
and they were like, I don't know, it was different. It's like, do you want to switch off your phone? Yeah, like seriously, because everybody was calling each other. Like
Like,
the
what did you
grades
get?
just
What
came
did you
out,
get?
and
Yeah.
people were just calling, like, hey, how did it go? How did it go? And then my parents were like, do you want to switch up your phone? Do you want to switch
Wow.
off your phone? Do you just like, what do you want to do? Like, they started being more concerned about me. So it was like, oh, but to me, I was like, I'm okay because I already knew that I was gonna go to the US, and somehow I trusted the guy that was doing the whole application that he
Uh
was
huh.
gonna go through, and he
Wow.
did. So it was my first time facing something that did not go my way, and then my parents were
Hmm.
very understanding, and shout
Shout
out
out to
to
the
them.
parents.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Shout out to the parents.
And yeah, it was the first time, but it was not the last time.
It was the first of
It
many.
was the first of many to come, especially once we get to this
Yeah.
journey here of America. I know we're still setting up the ground
Hmm.
of how we got here, which is going to be also well, like we said, it's going to be the blueprint of the questions that we ask people as they come
Yeah.
on this podcast. Going back to your process, so what happened once you got that acceptance? How did you prepare for the interview?
I
Did
did.
you even prepare?
That's one thing I've realized. Like,
Were
I
you
think
scared?
we have, and we can be honest here. Like, we have this big mythical thing. Like, you go into the embassy, U.S. embassy, you have an
Right.
interview, you overdress,
Oh
and you
yeah.
out there be like sweating bullets. Like, you sweating, like you nervous. And so all I did, I think I've told this story to folks before, but like I read the whole packet, acceptance packet. Like I because they
Wait,
they
yeah.
always said so. They always said, be prepared for the interview. So like know a little bit about your school.
So you didn't know anybody who went to the interview and tell you exactly what they asked?
Because that's the thing.
You didn't even know what they
There's
asked.
no specific question they ask. They just
Oh,
ask whatever they ask.
true.
And for me, I read the whole. Like I still remember to this
I
day.
still get, wait. So
I
you
knew.
went and read everything about your school.
I was also curious as well. Like I wanted to know. Like okay, this school is this.
Did
I
you do
was
it for the curiosity or for the embassy?
for both. Like I was reading it. I was like, okay, this school is 3 hours away from Oklahoma City. So that I knew that it was gonna take me 3 hours
And you
from Oklahoma City.
memorize that so you can talk about it
I just
in
like,
interview.
and also I remember when I was applying, and I think also it was like in the application,
This is
like
why he got 4.0, man. The entire 4 years of school.
due diligence is what it's called.
Sure, man. I'm impressed.
So
You
like I read,
memorized the whole packet.
I remember this percentage, like 55% of the faculty at my school had doctorate degrees, and and I mentioned that point in my interview. Like I'm not
What
gonna like.
question did you mention to that? Like, what question did they ask for you to say that?
They said, "Why did you choose this school?" Because that's one of the questions they
Oh,
ask. Like, "Why did you choose this school?" And I was straightforward. I was like, um, "Small class sizes."
yeah.
Because most of the like the biggest class I was ever in, we had 41 students. That was
Okay.
the biggest class, one
Yeah.
of the freshman level classes.
Yeah.
And the smallest class I've ever been in, two
Yeah.
students, me and somebody else.
Smallest class was 2 students.
Yeah, me and somebody else.
What class was that?
Advanced organic chemistry.
Okay, now that makes sense. Now that makes sense. Who would want to take that besides whoever wants to be a
I
doctor?
needed the hours. Like I had to, because I had two majors. So like if you
Yeah,
had,
I mean, yeah, I understand. Don't worry, you don't have
if
to
you had
explain it
if you
to me.
had
No,
one
I say it
major,
makes sense why there was only two of you. Like, I understand
yeah,
that. I
yeah.
just didn't. I don't question why you took it. I understand. I know why you took it.
I probably would like
All right, doctor, soon to be,
no,
whenever
they want to be.
wanna be doctor. All right, going back to that process. I know
But
I'm
yeah,
just gonna keep
I
laughing.
did like did my homework, as people would say. Like I
So you
tried
studied it, yeah.
to like know a little bit about the school. So like the easiest thing to remember was the class sizes.
Okay.
Because okay, class sizes, that means I get to like get the attention of the professors and get to know them one on one,
Yeah,
and also
man.
like the faculty. That means like that qualifying and all that. I remember that that's one of those things that I mentioned in my interview. Like they ask, why did you choose the school?
So what other questions did they ask?
Why did I choose a school?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what am I gonna do after I graduate? Big one. And actually, I don't think I think my interview was like 3 minutes, 5 minutes tops. Like it's always depends, because I remember like, and I will let you like tell your side of like when you went to the interview and everything. But for me, like it was quite. I was about to go to work, so I
Work.
yes
Oh yeah,
I
you
help my
mentioned you
parents,
were working with your
but
parents. Yeah,
like on my way, I stopped by the embassy.
all dressed up.
I wasn't
Were
like
you
I didn't have a suit
nervous?
on. I
Were
didn't.
you? I,
Man, I was nervous like a
really?
man. You have no idea. But then, because you know, some folks who may not know, when you go for the visa interview, it's like an open room. There's no
Yes, everybody
privacy.
can hear.
Whatever you they ask
It's
you,
like
everybody can
it's
hear.
like at the bank teller. It's like there's just a
Legit,
window
yes,
and you're just talking to somebody, and then
literally,
people are just in the waiting room there, just
literally.
looking at you.
So when you
Yeah.
get the like when they deny your visa, like everybody knows. So I started like listening in onto the questions that I can prepare mentally. Like okay, and
Oh,
then
you were still preparing in the
like
interview.
how would I answer this question?
Yeah.
Because I was nervous,
Yeah.
and the two guys ahead of me got denied. I was like, do not listen to this anymore, because they
How do you know they get denied though? Like it's like
they just
go
give you
by.
back your passport.
Oh, okay. Okay.
If
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
they keep your passport,
If you
you're
are
like, hey,
accepted.
come back tomorrow, pick up your passport.
Yeah. What
Then you know,
documents did you bring?
oof. I took my I-20
Okay.
document. You take your acceptance letter, you take your passport, you take two pictures, passport
Mm-hmm.
pictures.
Yeah.
I took bank statement,
Yes.
bank statement from your whoever is
Parents, whoever,
sponsoring
yeah.
your uh,
School, whoever's gonna pay
study
for your
abroad,
tuition, yeah.
whoever is paying for your tuition. So that's all I took, I believe.
Yeah.
What did you take?
No, it's pretty much the same thing. But on the top of the bank statement, because I mentioned my mom had a saving college fund, so it was that, and it was also her bank statements and also her paychecks, like her pay
Oh
stubs every
wow.
month. Yeah, my mom. So you just talked about how like you do a due diligence. My mom is the one that used to do it for me. So she is that thorough when it comes to details,
Man,
and that's something that I'm trying to learn now because she's not there. She's not here. I mean, with me, but she used to do like every. She used to pressure us though, and I feel like that's something I inherited because before I do anything, it's like the voice of my mom. Like I thank her because I am who I am because of that.
shout
Because
out to
everything she
mom.
did. Shout out to mom. But at the same time, so it's a positive and the negative. Like yes, I'm very detail oriented. I'm very focused. I'm very goal oriented. But I don't know how to handle pressure when it comes because it's always like, oh, I gotta get this.
Were
So
you nervous
anxiety
then?
is very high.
Were you nervous for the
Yes, I
interview?
was a little bit nervous, but once I started hearing people talk, it was like, oh, I could have answered well. That was not a good thing though for me to think through.
Mm,
But like anytime they would start speaking, and I'm like, no, you shouldn't say that because I had a few friends that had been there, and they had walked me through some of the things that you can say and things
mm.
that you can't say.
Did your
And
school counselor or
like Green
school
Hills,
counselor did
no,
they help you like okay
no,
what to expect with the
with the visa.
actually I believe my school also sent me some of the questions that I need to like prepare for some of
Oh,
those I
really?
think
Like
they
your
sent.
college here? Oh,
Yeah, I
really?
think they sent like some of the questions you need to know,
Questions? Oh,
like
when you apply for
information you need
visa.
to like have on hand.
I don't think they did. For me, it was just asking a few people who already had their visa, and it was just like, yeah, what are you gonna study? What's the school? Yeah, like why did you choose that school? And mine was also same thing. It was a small school, and having like a one-to-one with the relationship with the teacher rather than
Mm,
big schools. What was your major? What were you gonna do after you graduate? And I
hmm.
say I was gonna because I thought I was gonna be a civil engineer, so I didn't have to say anything about basketball. That's one thing my parents said.
Say I want to be in the
Don't mention
NBA.
anything about basketball. Just yeah, just talk about your major and just say yes. It's I want to come back and help build my country. And then what else? What does your mom do? That's another
Mm.
question they asked. And what else? I think that's it. And for some reason, they're like, okay, I don't think I even got to finish the answer of like, oh, what does your mom do? As I was speaking, they were just like putting everything together and they put my documents aside. I didn't know that they keep it once you're selected.
Oh, you didn't know,
I didn't know that.
man.
All I saw is they put aside and they're like, you can come back on Thursday. I was like, my document, no, you can come, you get them on Thursday. Oh, okay.
Oh,
And
actually,
then I went
you
and
just
then I
reminded
left.
me. Like I was so nervous. I think the guy could see that I was very nervous because one of the first questions he asked me was like, "Do you have anybody else in the U.S.?"
Oh,
And then I
yeah.
was like, "I have a brother there." Oh, he was like, "Where does he live, or what does he,
Yeah.
does he live?" I was like, "Oh, Buffalo, like Buffalo, New York," and and he was like, does he ever tell you how cold he gets?" And I kind of we laughed, and
So
then
it's like
after that,
breaking
everything,
off the
yeah. And then
ice.
afterwards, like I could be able to, like nothing was coming out of my
That's
mouth.
the
Like
same thing I do
man,
during interviews. It's like anytime I'm interviewing somebody for the role and I can see that they're nervous, it's just talk about something that is completely outside of whatever work because they're expecting questions, they are under pressure. So it's always like, oh, how are you doing today? It's nice. Where are you? Because it's remote, everything
mm.
is online now. It's always like, where are you? Is it as cold as it is here in Ohio? Do you get the
So some
bipolar
small
weather?
talk.
Like, oh, yes, just a small talk just for him to relax or for her to relax. It's always helpful. And I appreciate people who get to recognize that and do that because, man, when you're nervous in front of people, you can pretty much just screw it up because you don't know how you act when you're nervous. So things could be messy. But when somebody gets to recognize that
Yeah,
for you and they kind of like break the ice a
settle
little bit
down.
for you to just be able to, oh man, relax. I appreciate that because I also get nervous. So I kind of know I'm like, okay, let's just break the ice layer. But now for me, because anytime I get nervous and it's somebody else that I'm gonna either talk with her, I'm the one who's gonna find a way to break the ice. So I'm the one who's gonna initiate the small talk so that way it relaxes me and just break a joke. And that way I'm like, okay, once the other person, the only thing that I don't know, hopefully I never get to experience that is when I crack a joke and the other person doesn't laugh. That becomes even more uncomfortable. I really hope it never gets to that, but I'm
Oh
always
man.
like, what if I make a stupid joke and somebody doesn't laugh? But yeah, back to the interview process. So, so they told you you can come back.
So like, so I was gonna just mention some this side thing about like the whether you get it accepted, your visa gets accepted or it gets denied. If it gets denied, they give you a letter, but they don't tell you why you got denied. I don't know if you know, but they don't tell you why you got denied. They just say,
Oh
"Hey,
yeah,
come back in at least
another
a month."
time. I think the main thing for students, it's always to make sure the money. So if you are applying for a college and the tuition, you have to make sure you can actually pay for it and you can prove that you can pay for it. I think that's the main thing.
I think
It's a
that
big
the reason
thing.
why one of the reasons why they tell you come back tomorrow, they finish their due diligence once you're gone. So that's
Oh,
why
they
they
say, oh, come back tomorrow. Oh,
yeah.
not another time.
So no, they say come back tomorrow when you get your visa. When you're about to,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
ninety nine
yeah.
percent
Oh,
sure
it's
you're
the
getting
little
it.
thing. Oh,
But
it's just a
when it gets denied,
denied
they give you a passport and a letter. I think
everything.
it'd have like a template. So like I had met somebody before, like a few months before, who got denied,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw the letter.
Yeah.
So then when I was like, the person was done questioning me. They were typing some things. I was like, oh
Oh,
crap, he is
maybe this
typing
is
the
it.
letter.
Yeah,
He is
this is the
typing the
letter
letter.
for
This is
you.
it. I was like, man,
I think they even know if they got now. The more I think about it, I think they even know if they're gonna deny you or not. It's like they already know, like 50, at least 60% or 70% if they're gonna accept or deny you, and it's just a matter of you answering a few questions because you do send the application like whatever ahead. You
mm,
send all the documents, so like you send all these documents, but you still bring them to the embassy
what do you mean you
because
send
whenever
them?
you're looking for
What did you send?
when you're booking for a embassy appointment,
Okay,
you uploading all these documents. You did not apply. You didn't input the I-20. Oh, you can,
no,
if you don't have the I-20 yet, you can say don't have it yet, but you bring it.
yeah,
But you do apply through the applications. You already have like um, all these things that you go through the embassy website,
because
your name, the school you
it's a
applied
long
to.
process. I
It's a
remember
yeah, it's another thing.
it
It's
takes
another
about 30,
process.
45 minutes to go through the whole
I
thing.
think I did three times. Like I would save it, and then the next
Save
day
and come
come
back.
back
Yeah,
and do it
yeah.
again, then come back and do it again, and then you do send all that, and then you come back with whatever you didn't have when you, because the main thing is just to book the appointment ahead of time. So if it
Yeah, and
was
it's
to
always
gonna
booked
go,
out like two
it's
months ahead.
2 months ahead. Yeah, so you send everything. If you don't have everything, then that's when you bring it to the interview. But if you have
Mm,
everything, then you put it there. That way they know, because you come there, they know who you are already. You have
hmm.
your name, you put your parents' name, you put where you live, you put
Yeah.
if you have any siblings here in America or
Any
anybody
records,
else. So anyway,
if you've been arrested or anything like
if
that,
yeah,
you
so
have to
you
put that
already
in there.
have most of the things that are there. So I think you already have enough details for you to be, yeah, this
That's the
is
thing,
enough
because
and
I've seen folks who have enough money to pay for their colleges
yeah.
twice over, and they get
But they
denied.
get denied. So what do you
So
think
like
is the
it's
reason? Do you
that
know?
I have no idea. It's a hit or miss.
It's a
It depends
myth,
on
a
who
myth.
interviewed you. Like I don't know what you said, but yeah, like I was nervous as hell. But then they said, "Hey, I remember what kind of clothes that I had on that day. I
I do
remember,
too.
I remember like I was
I
like
still have
how
the
I felt.
shirt.
Dang. I remember how I felt. I was like, man, like 99% sure. I didn't tell nobody though, like except my
Really?
parents. But
Oh,
nobody
except your
else knew that I
parents.
had an interview. Like I just went for my interview. I went straight to work, and then
Most
and
people
then I went back the next day.
got it.
The visa was in there. I was like, okay, now you can fly. Now you can buy your.
My mom had already bought the ticket for me.
Was it refundable?
Uh,
Yeah.
wait, she didn't buy it, but she booked it. She was like, "This is what you need to show." Like, hey, because they also ask if you have any travel plans already.
Yeah,
That's one
that's
of
the
the
crazy
things that
part. I
they
think I
ask.
read somewhere that the U.S. is one of the few countries, if not the only country, where you have to interview for the visa. Most other countries, you apply, you
And then,
send your documents,
oh yeah,
and
because
they
Canada,
accept
you
or
send it
deny.
in Kenya
But you don't
actually.
have to like interview most countries. But the US, like even if you have every single document, you still have to go
You
through
still
that
have to
interview
go through the
process.
interview.
And it's actually, no, I might be wrong. I think you get accepted or denied
Don't worry, we'll
upon
bring
interview.
guests that are going to talk about it because I know we're starting with America because we are here, obviously. But we intend to bring guests to talk about different countries where to they went to study. If it's Canada, if it's UK, if it's Australia,
Hmm.
that way they can go also through their process and also talk about their struggle. But we started with US,
Because
obviously because
it's
we're
our journey.
here and
Yeah.
that's our journey, just to initiate that conversation. but we do intend to bring guests from different countries. That way, we can continue to connect the Rwandan diaspora, and also just continue to give more gems and those hidden realities that everybody kind of like romanticize here. That
Hmm.
way, everybody can continue. That way, you can make informed decision on whatever you want to study, because these work permits issues are here most mainly because you're in the US. Canada now, they have a new rule that once you graduate, you can start working without any restrictions. So
Wow.
those are the things that we want to
Yeah,
bring those
there's
people
like,
that I went to
mm,
Canada. That way they can also bring their information, and you can make that decision of saying, I want to go to Canada, I want to go to US, I want to go to UK, because it's
mhm.
either simpler, or at least you have an idea of what to expect there,
Yeah,
instead of just blindly coming like the way we thought.
yeah,
But hey, you make it work. It's
yes.
a journey. We'll talk about who we became eventually. But we just here. We starting with the U.S., but we're gonna get deeper into other countries with other people, with other guests, so we can expose everything and just continue to share those information.
Well said. Well
Yeah,
said.
the work permits. Oof, we'll
So
get there.
yeah,
But
so
details
this
about the
pretty
work.
much for today. We went through like, okay, what, how was your application process, the visa interview process, and school application process, what tests you took, and everything. So now that is guiding us through. Okay, you got your visa.
Yeah,
Now you're getting ready to travel.
getting ready.
So like for the next one, we're talking about like our travel experience and getting coming to America for the first time.
And
So
landing in a place where you thought it was gonna look like New York. Yeah.
yeah, we got some for. I think that might need two parts because there's a lot of
You
things.
say you went 3 hours. I went 1 hour, but I was tired, man. I saw a city, and then boom, 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 boom. We started getting in corns. I said, "Where are we going?"
By the way, he went to school
Cornfields.
in West Virginia, so just so you know, for better context. And I went to school in Oklahoma, but at least I had read my packet,
I know it was
and I
long,
knew
but
it
I
was three
didn't know
hours
it
away.
was. You already, yeah. I
I
know it
knew
was
it,
long, but they said it was gonna be a drive,
and
but I didn't know it was gonna be an
and boy,
hour.
do I have some stories,
I
man.
can't wait.
But yes, so next time you see us, we're gonna be talking about like, okay, our travel experience and our first time being coming to America. What was it like? What was
Coming to America.
the original version? But please, thank you very much for watching. Please go ahead and like this video, shoot us a
Share.
comment, share with your friends. Thank you. Put a comment in there, ask us some questions, and go ahead and follow us on social media platforms as well. The BM Pod on Instagram and TikTok. The BM Pod. We want to be more engaging with our audience as well. That way we can give you much better content. And
Oh yeah, please let us know which country you would like to hear next, so we can start preparing as we're going through the guests that went to school in America, the guests that stayed here in America and
mm,
went through those work permits, restrictions, and how they did it. What was their experience? The guests that decided to go home after graduating from America. That way, they can also talk about their
yeah,
experience in Rwanda and what they are doing and how they went through all those, because it is also another struggle once you go back home and you have no other experience,
yeah,
and you have to find a job and getting accustomed to the Rwandan system again. So we'll bring also those guests so they can also talk about their experience about graduating here and going back home, and what are the things they have learned. Would they do anything differently? But so please let us know what other country you would like to hear after. That way we can start preparing on who's going to be next. Because right now it's a U.S. edition, but hopefully we can
yes,
get the Canada edition or UK edition. It's whatever you do propose, because as you said, we want to be engaged. So whatever you get to choose, that's the one
yeah.
we'll go with.
But yeah, it may be later seasons, it may be earlier in the season. We'll see how it works out. But again, thank you very much for staying with us and giving us a part of your time. Again, this is your guys, Jado. This is your man with four
Christian.
degrees, Christian. And we'll see you next time.